Shall we get going then?
Everything is running.
Beautiful. Well, good afternoon, friends. Bienvenidos on, for me, this beautiful May 8th. I'm on location in Hoodsport, Washington, where I am at an intergenerational brunch of 4 generations of women from this family that I'm very devoted to, and I've been adopted by. So it's incredible to be here in this household. And when I asked the group, would it be okay? I'd love to come to the brunch, and would it be okay if I did the poetry program from here? And they said, of course, but I'm tucked away in a little room that I'm not used to, but poetry persists. Of course it does, always persists. So here I am, your host for today, Sandy Yannone, joining you from Hoodsport, Washington on Hood Canal. It's gorgeous. And if I can post some photos later of the Hood Canal area, for those of you who are not familiar, I certainly will try to do so. Well, welcome to everyone. And here we are once again on a Sunday for Cultivating Voices live poetry, where today you all are the features. It is my great joy to be able to share 12 voices who will be reading for 5 minutes apiece today on the vast, vast ways that we can interpret the ways that people mother. How do we embody that word? We were talking a little bit before the program started about how one does not have to have given birth to be a mother from within the body. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing the ways that you all have brought your poems on this theme. Again, I did a little bit of research. And Mother's Day is celebrated all around the world, not always on this particular Sunday of May, but many, many, many countries do celebrate on this particular day. So we've got a beautiful audience from many, many places around the world in our audience today here on Zoom. And welcome to those of you watching and listening from Facebook. Well, as you know, I'm your host, Sandy Yannone, and I want to, before we even start, give a shout out to my other cohorts who are really the backbone of this enterprise here, where we come weekly to share poetry together. Don Krieger and Kim Ports-Parsons, thank you very much. And let's get right to the poetry. And because I am usually in my own kitchen, I'm going to really resist talking as much in between folks, and just really introduce each one of you and the person who is coming up next. A reminder, folks, it's 5 minutes each for our 12 readers. And if there's a little bit of time, there's a little bit of time left over, we'll go to the wait list. All righty. Well, our first reader today is Alexandra Psaropoulou joining us from Greece, and we're so excited to have you back with us.
Thank you. Just a quick making sure that the slides show.
We've got it. Yeah,
Quick, can you see the slides going by?
you can see it perfectly.
Like not just the cover, but the whole, all the slides, right, going by.
I'm just seeing the cover right now.
Okay, yeah, that's also what happened last time. So, Don, any suggestions? Advanced slideshow, maybe?
It's all yours to control, Alexandra. You need to select the right one in the share screen, from your own screen on your computer.
Okay.
Go ahead and just try again.
Yeah.
We see the front slide, which says books.
Do you see the PowerPoint now?
We see a single slide.
Yeah. Well, I have to upload it to PowerPoint because I haven't got the share screen like I do in all the other Zooms, I'm afraid.
Perhaps you could just read your work.
I can't read it unless I'm going through the graphics, and it's just I share screen in every single Zoom. So now I have to upload it to PowerPoint.
Well, maybe we should go on, and if you get it, if you've done that, then maybe come back to you,
Yeah, I don't know why this happens each time.
So next, thank you for technical difficulties. We'll come back, Alexandra.
Yeah, we've been through this, and we did it with Dawn, and
Yeah,
yeah. Can you see the screen?
I can see the screen. Yes, but I think, yeah, I think you might want to play with the PowerPoint a little more, and we'll come back. We'll come back in a little bit. We'll have a couple more readers, and we'll come right back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's go next to now our first reader for today. Martina McGowan will be followed by Jeff Kaliss. Welcome, Martina. So nice to see you today.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm happy to be here. As you said, Mother's Day means different things to different people, and my poetry will reflect that. I have two pieces. The first is a Mother's Day aubade. The iron scent of afterbirth as I rise to the temptation of gazing into your shining face one more time. A maze of rooms where they seek to temper your light. They unwrap the swaddling you now wear instead of the cheery onesie in my bag. Product of love of my now empty womb. Too soon, too late, premature benediction. But here you are, chilly, all but emptied of a warmth we once shared, almost beyond my reach. I wonder what shall I dream for you now, my love? I wish you wings to fly beyond this place and time, I wish you seraphim, clanging cymbals at your rising, a brightly burning sun to light your daytime path, starlight as nightlights, Mohammedan angels strumming peepaws, singing plain chant lullabies, free range through the cosmos, astride your unicorned mare. I wish you here. And the second is Sestina, a song for my mother, the missing Sestina. I often write about my father, but never enough of my mother. The poems I do not write aren't light or cheery by anyone's measure. No untroubled frolic through childhood mind, but neither just desolate or dark. As children, we are always in the dark about the union of our folks. Further along, we are able to explore, to mine the love that must have birthed when my mother was young and taking the full measure of my dad before stepping united into life's light. Grandfather, a freed slave, baptized into the light of Christ, only to find the world still dark. Moving north, seeking a different measure of the worth of our skin. Broken father, a premature death, forsaken mother, left with a teen, thought she lost her own damn mind. The poems I do not write would mine the dark days, the loss of her joy and her light. They would speak of her courage, my mom struggling to save her girl child from the dark, moving our legacy a bit further than before, a fresh new measure. Love cannot always be seen or measured, while hurt and harm are ravaging hearts and minds. The leanest of wages stretched further and farther, praying one day the burden might lighten. Family secrets lurking in the dark, boldness in all things symbolic of mother. The poems I do not write for my mother would talk about the love I can now measure. For in youth, no useful yardsticks are found in the dark. Walking through tunnels, avoiding landmines, slowly limping toward the ardent light, both silently grieving, missing my father. The dark did not devour my mother, and by any measure, she was a carrier of life lessons I share with my own, continuing toward the light. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martina. And again, I appreciate and want to remind folks that, this theme for today has so many variations, and Larry Kirshner was very gracious in reminding me that, and I want to share with all of you that the original Mother's Day originated as a call for no more war. And so as we are gathering today, and I'm thinking about the number of, just our reading just a month ago in solidarity with Ukraine, a reminder of the history of this particular day. So thank you very much, Larry, for reminding me to share that information with folks. Well, our next reader is Jeff Kaliss, and Jeff will be followed by Patricia Carragon. Folks, please feel free to put your information in the chat and give the love to our readers for today. Jeff, go right ahead.
Thank you. I think I'm unmuted. Yeah. My kids have started doing Ancestry and have let me know that my people are from Ukrainian Jews. So, and I didn't even know that. And I'm going to start out. This is all pretty much about my mother, Rebecca Bess Kaliss. born Rebecca Weiss. And the first poem is a batch of short poems, is more or less of an ekphrastic from an old sepia photo of my mom and her family. It's called Family Photo. Did she know Dad yet? There's Mom, younger, so much younger than I am now, looking happy, in a happy, half-toned Brooklyn, nestled in the backyard of a brownstone between the wars, flank by flank with sassy sisters, beaming brothers, and two mothers who shared the same busy space and the ample brood they'd borne to old Aron, he there in the middle, patron of poker, bathtub gin, and polygamy. Bessie, she isn't mommy yet. She isn't Mrs. yet. In the fun of her first family, after a long ago lunch of brisket and cabbage, she's wearing the joy she passes to me each time we smile for the camera. This is called Song of Origin. After the war, to keep you company, Mom, I wish I'd been more, better, and for longer. But for all the limits and detours, never strong enough, never long enough, no certificate of joy. Mom, didn't you place me here to please? Didn't you hold me and sing to me to keep me holding and singing to all that can be touched, all who can listen, and that way to pass it on from always, pass it on to ever? The pleasure in the practice, in the passing, making something of the something in the nothing, sounding mine in mourning, having heart be heard. The next poem is another ekphrastic, and in this case, I have the picture. That's me, obviously, on the right. Mother's Day on the shore path. Feel the spray behind this photo, 30 salt parts per thousand, soughing up on shore on that day among all days, when she held me, washed out glistening from her purposed amniotic fluid, 9 salt parts per thousand, to smile for her, to smile with her, to join that life among all lives, to listen then and there to the soughing sea, the tide beyond the time, and the love that laughs within it. This poem is called Butterfly. It's written in the third person, but I was definitely part of this experience. While death still lives, it still will reach for words. And so she lay in hospice, her nurse and son beside, breath still coming, death awaiting. And she could ask him, how are my grandchildren? Are they making music? And he could answer, they will come and visit, thinking, if you're still here for them. And he continued, when they sit still, they do music, and they think of grandma, proud at her grand piano. She could still smile at that. She lay back on her pillow, the nurse there smiling with her, as son went off on his assigned errand for what he thought was just a while. Your son is such a good boy, said the nurse, though this boy was gray, grayed with purpose now, finalizing plans for a cremation, his dad already gone and scattered to the ocean, his mother soon to follow on the wind. In the hospice room, the nurse put on some music. The music son and mother shared as lessons all those years ago when he was pupil, she assistant teacher, a home and piano on the other coast. She hears the keyboard kindness of Robert Schumann's Papillon from early in his short romantic life. She flutters far beyond her bed, far beyond duty of her doctors, far beyond fond bonds of memory, far above gardens of memory, beyond the primal pulse of heart which she had claimed inside her mother's womb. This heart, not needing any body now, stills and stops with the last of ageless chords. When her son returned, he blessed her with the tears of a goodbye. The nurse embraced him now. She waited till you were away, she told him. Was she all right? He had to ask her. Yes, she went away with music. Thank you all for listening and happy Mother's Day.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jeff. And thanks for sharing that photograph. I love that. Just see so many, you see so many comments in the chat. Well, we go from the West Coast of the US right all the way over to the East Coast to our good friend Patricia Carragon. And we'll go back after Patricia to Alexandra and see if we can get that going.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Anne.
Patricia. So great to see you.
Yeah, tired of editing, headache. That's why I thank God I woke up in time for this reading. Thanks for doing this. Okay, a few poems. In this photo, you are my mom, a bride with movie star glamour. It was taken at a studio. Where? I don't know. When you were alive, we've never discussed this or anything else. Now it's too late. Your quality of life, a girl's dream gone wrong, a marriage reinforced by regret. You wanted financial security, but Dad never did get that promotion. He drank at the bar after work, and the bookie used to come to the house. Money and in-laws, Molotov cocktails served on anniversary platters. You lived inside a hardened shell. Sarcastic smiles bared your teeth. We've never discussed the future or my needs. I had to learn how to be myself, made one mistake after another. I never knew I was to be your caregiver. Now it's too late. The milk on the floor, a stain, indelible and cracked. The photo aged like the strain on our relationship. Your legacy met its detour. Tears have turned to salt. History left another voicemail. Forgiveness tied to a price tag that I could afford. I put on my mother's shoes and walked on city streets, crossed asphalt and cobblestone gutters, climbed various staircases to subways, schools, jobs, apartments, sometimes took elevators when available. I felt the leather tighten, heard souls sigh. Pain rose up vascular roadways. A headache signaled to action. Her past, a telepathic rerun. I already knew how it would end. Emotions created her walls and lines, and no two fingerprints were alike. Unanswered questions stepped on anger and grief, wondered why I still shrink in my own shoes. And the last two are just two haiku written for the Ukraine. I'll repeat them twice. A child walks alone. His hand holds a teddy bear. Border lies ahead. A child walks alone. His hand holds a teddy bear. Border lies ahead. Orthodox Easter. Two nations worship same faith. Mothers bury sons. Orthodox Easter. Two nations worship same faith. Mothers bury sons. Thank you.
Sandy, you're muted.
Okay. I had about 3 things pop up on my screen just as I was getting ready to come on. Thank you so much, Patricia. I always appreciate when we get to hear the haiku twice. And good luck with the editing. Please check out the chat, everybody, for Patricia, who is the host and curator of so much around brownstone poetry, upcoming events. Been having very robust experience there. All right, we're going to try again with Alexandra with her contribution for today. So I'll pass it back over to Alexandra, and let's hope.
Okay. Can everybody see the slides? Hello?
No.
Can you see the slides going by?
No.
No?
No, it's just your desktop right now.
Okay. So
Stop sharing and then switch to something else.
that's what I just did.
This is the wrong thing.
Can you see these slides going by?
No, it looks like there's just a poem that's up.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're just sharing an editor.
Anything happening?
Now that's one of the windows that shows the slide, but it shows only one slide. Remember when we practiced this before, you have to find the window that shows the live slides, and that's the one you share.
And yeah, I tried the window for the slideshow, but
No need to explain. Just try to find the one that shares the correct thing that you want.
that just shows the cover, nothing else. Right. Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, which one? No, it's not. We tried this one. Can you see the slides going by?
Click.
Yes.
Okay.
There it goes.
You can see them now, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll keep them small then, and okay. Okay, so I'll just keep them small. Okay. Golden cords connecting us, golden cords surrounding us. Like the sparkling sunlight on the blue sea, like the sparkling sun waves on the sea sand. Divine help, divine forces flowing in. Our vibrations riding over the waves of life, bravely crossing all barriers. Singing a magnetizing melody on a hypnotizing journey. Turning the dark into light, turning the wrong into right. Knowing we can be free, knowing we are free. Free from all negative energy, free from all negative experiences. Golden cords connecting us, golden cords guiding us. Like glowing strands intertwining along our paths, like glowing strands showing us us our paths. Divine help, divine forces flowing in. Our vibrations, our energies whirling, twirling, wings of the universe dancing freely between us. Forming our world, forming the worlds around us. Turning the dark into light, turning the imbalanced into balanced. Knowing we can be free, knowing we are free. Free from all lower sexual desires, free from all lower sexual encounters. Golden cords connecting us, golden cords attaching us. Like two radiant flames dancing together, like two radiant soul flames flying together. Divine help, divine forces flowing in. Our vibrations allowing us free to choose our own experiences, our own perceptions, allowing us free to move on, leaving old energies behind. Trusting that everything will be renewed, trusting that everything is being renewed. Turning the dark into light, turning the non-understandable into understandable. Knowing we can be free, knowing we are free. Free from all detrimental patterns, free from all detrimental beliefs. Golden cords connecting us, golden cords nurturing us. Like a family wonderfully bonding, like butterflies fluttering in spring. Divine help, divine forces flowing in. Our vibrations, our highest energies, whirling, twirling, drifting freely on the currents of the universe. Transforming our world, transforming the worlds around us, turning the dark into light, turning the non-believing into believing, knowing we can be free, knowing we are free, free from all worry and struggle, free from all misconception and doubt. Golden cords connecting us, golden cords uniting us, like the sacred heart flame, like the sacred soul flame. Divine help, divine forces flowing in. Our vibrations strong and tender, taking us up our sweet magical worlds, strong and tender, taking us up our sweet blessed worlds, knowing that our visions will come true, knowing that our visions are coming true, turning the dark into light, turning the unhealthy into healthy, knowing we can be healed, knowing we are healed, healed from all bitterness and pain, healed from all hopelessness and regret. Only golden cords connecting us, only golden cords inspiring us, expecting magic, expecting blessings, expecting flying. Thank you, and sorry about the share screen.
Thank you, Alexandra. So beautiful. The image, I love I love the visual, honestly. The golden cords really grabbed me today. Oh, I keep being muted. I keep being muted. I keep muting myself. I was gonna say, thank you so much, Alexandra. The golden cords, the golden cords, the golden cords. The repetition and the image. Beautiful. Thanks for joining us from a very far from me away time zone in Greece. Beautiful. We move next to Leslie Freed. Welcome, Leslie. And then we'll hear from Susan Abbott, another poet, wonderful artist. Leslie, great to see you today.
Nice to see you too. Thanks for including me. My first poem is really the title poem from my book, Lily is Leaving, and there's my mother on the cover. I guess there's my mother backwards on the cover. So this poem was written in her last days of her life. Lily is leaving. Lily is leaving the way that summers end, softly in fading light, the spicy scent of leaves smoldering and distant cries from the beach. Slipping away, she becomes a frail version of herself, each part unfamiliar to the others, separate in their suffering. She is noble, dispensing potions from the bed and incantations. Water, water, or where is Leslie? Curling her fingers through mine. Lily is leaving, sailing back to white shoulders. Bazillion bird wing flutters, muscle of universe, pumping slow time. Now the particulars become the general, cashmere in winter, the veiled cloche, the Kaddish cup, Mother Earth as seen from space, everything and nothing. The next poem is called, thank you. The next poem is called Poem from My Mother's Yahrzeit. So Yahrzeit is the year anniversary of her passing. And on that anniversary, I decided just to take a train trip up to Talkeetna, just be alone and just be alone with myself and my mother. Poem from My Mother's Yahrzeit. The marshland is slow to wake under a woolly cloud cover. My train to Talkeetna bumps and waddles through fat golden grass. Turn again in shadow to the right, Knik River snaking to the left, skating silver over eyelids, and then sun's radiance, morning bath. Yellow legs, plover, and dabbling ducks, scurry, swoop, and dive. Trumpeter swan. Reddening leaves ride magnificently down to winter, filling my heart. This first year without you. My last poem is really a different kind of point of view. This is a poem of a mother talking to her son. That's me talking to my son, Julian. The first half of the poem was written many years ago. And then the second half I added more recently. Son, I wish. Son, I wish I could see you, for you remind me of what it feels like to be empty and full at the same time. You have a knack for appearing to me in dreams of misplaced children, or unnamed villages. Each day I am without you, I am closer to myself, and I am happy. I know I will love your new girl. Son, I wish I could see you fly out of that shitty town. After 20 years, I never loved the new girl, though I loved that you loved. Run away with your pets and sacred guitar of the one-eyed Jack glued on by Marty. Abandon the struggle. There's no shame in being alone. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wonderful, wonderful, Leslie. Thank you so much for being with us. We're looking forward to Leslie being with us for a future new book showcase upcoming this year.
Thank you. I
Thank
would
you.
love that.
Great to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, next we'll hear from Susan Abbott. And I just want to say, friends, very briefly before we hear from Susan, who'll be followed by Ron Bremner. If you haven't seen Susan's artwork on Facebook, be sure to friend her. It is really magnificent, magnificent work. And she's just reached, I think she's having some connectivity issues. The tricksters are obviously well at work today, and she's just entered the room. So Susan, welcome. And I've just been telling people to be sure to friend you to be able to see your remarkable artwork that you've been sharing. Let me just. Okay, I'm gonna
I
move.
think she's going in and out, Sandy. If
I think
you
she
want to
is,
go
yeah.
ahead to
I will.
Ron,
Yeah, let's
we
go
can
to
come back to
Ron.
her. We'll see if we can get her back in.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I was just, thank you so much. Well, I'm very also now very happy to have with us good friend Ron.
Hello, everybody. Boy, there's been such elegant language and pretty words here today. It's really been great for mothers everywhere. Unfortunately, my stuff is very plain and simple, but it is going to be in the next Patterson Literary Review number 50, and it's called "I Have Never Been Able to Write About My Mother." Another thing about this is that I very rarely write prose poems, but this is a prose poem. I have never been able to write about my mother, which confounds me, because I was closer to her than to any of my siblings or to my father. I was the one she fussed over, worried about, expected great things from, held her hopes and dreams. My father, who kept mostly to himself, would sit with me in the mornings before my school and his work, but rarely offer a nugget of what he was thinking. Mom was an open book, a woman you laughed with and cried with. Someone might say that such was my dad's Scottish ancestry versus Mom's Italian. But other relatives on my father's side were quite garrulous, while others on my mother's side were close-mouthed. And yet I write endlessly about my father, about his hard life, his hard work at roofing. I explore his insides, his fabulous artistic abilities, the songs he loved, his interests. But my mom, as much as she poured out her love to us, as much as she devotedly questioned and answered with us, I can't come up with anything to write. I only know 2 of her favorite songs. I should be able to write of her early life. In the railroad rooms of the apartment building owned by her non-English speaking immigrant father, whose odyssey I've been able to get on paper. I should cover the lonely time. Her infant son, my brother Art, while my father was warring in Europe. Or the life at home, where her children were at school, and she spent her days cleaning and cooking and kibitzing with her sisters in the same suburban town. The boredom or economic necessity that drove her to seek part-time work. The heart attacks that changed her life drastically and forever. The unhappiness with the house that she was stuck in for 30 years and her unfulfilled desire to move. Her incredible ability to organize that house, to people the rooms with the perfect furnishings and art, and to keep every single room spotless. That being the thing that defeats me so badly. Mom, why can't I write about you? I guess despite all your love and your care, I never knew you. But I am frustrated that I can't honor you more. But maybe this little piece will help both of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron Bremner. I'm so glad to have you with us today. And as you'll see, folks saying such touching work that you've shared with us this afternoon. Nothing wrong with, as you say, the plain spoken, as you identified. It reaches us just as deeply. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful work. Well, very happy to introduce next David Brydges. We're going to keep trying to get back to Susan Abbott. And if she's not in the room when we come back, we will move along, but we'll keep going. David, welcome. Good to see you tonight or today. It's not tonight for you.
Yeah, this afternoon. Thank you, Sandy, and thank you to all the poets who are sharing their mother tales. I have two kitchen-themed poems and The Hearts That Warmed It. The Vintage Cookie Can. After Grandma's passing, her daughter on the next street inherited her traditional cookie can. Since Mom's death, the red-lidded round can with Oriental font orange letters spelling cookies rests empty atop our pine kitchen cupboards. Masterful hands once crafted dozens of peanut butter, gingerbread, chocolate chip in a venerated kitchen of spicy delights. Coming home hungry after school, if timed right, we'd be granted one soft treat from her baking sheet. Letting goodie gifts harden, a layer of wax paper covered its bottom before they're safely stashed away. Christmas is near, but no turquoise sprinkled shortbreads warm the old cookie can. Dearly missing its matriarch. Grateful family ghosts inhabit this museum of sweet crumbs, exhibiting a household treasure. A canister of love from a heart whose oven was always on. And the second poem was kind of wrote itself while I was doing the dishes, actually. And I dedicate this to all mothers in the world. Blessings. The universe is made of stories, not atoms. Muriel Rukeyser. A memory of Mom washes ashore in the sink sea as I wash bits of oatmeal off her old wooden spoon. Mother's spirit is working here in her stained apron. Her kitchen, a creative lab where she joyfully crafted all these food particles from the blessed earth. Her laboring love stirs pea soup, Irish stew, porridge, and rhubarb sauce. What we didn't taste after our little bellies are full of Mother Nature's fuel were earthy stories of serving her family with sacrifice and grace. Years later, I discover a rich library embedded in my stomach muscles. I dedicate this wooden spoon as its bookmark.
That is just terrific. Thank you so much, David. I was just engaging with a wooden spoon just about an hour ago. So perfect to have that come up as an image in a poem. Wonderful. Thank you, David Brydges. We move on next to Kristie Williams. Welcome, Kristie. I'm so glad you're here today. And again, we're hoping that Susan will get back in the room, but we'll hear from Kristie now. Welcome.
Hi, I won't take up the whole 5 minutes today. I just have one poem, but I would like to say I've enjoyed everybody's work, and I do have my first chapbook coming out through Finishing Line Press titled Finding Her, and I'll leave you guys with that information in the chat today.
Beautiful.
And when I came to terms with not being a mother myself, someone gave me some wisdom, and they said I had to come to terms with mothering as a verb. And so I wrote this poem, and it's titled Coming to Terms with Mothering as a Verb, Letting Go of the Noun I Wanted to Be, Rocking My Nephew for the First Time. Each newborn breath swallows moonlight, closed eyelids flutter, lashes lick towards fall raindrops, a tiny tongue's thirst-quenched flick sounds as day breaks. His refreshed spirit awakens my soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristie. And I hope that we will see you in the new book showcase here on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry.
I would love to.
Too. Yes,
Thank
we've had
you.
many poets from Finishing Line join us. So thanks for being here. Thanks for letting us know about your work. And we'll now, Susan is still not arrived, so I'm going to move us to our good friend, Amy Berry. Welcome. So good to see you today.
Okay, hello everyone. Okay, I hope all the mothers are having a good day today. I read my first poem, Mother. I remember she struggled to open her eyes, fought her way through delirium. Her lips wrinkled like dried dates. Dazed by heavy medication, she slept, then woke confused. Alarm floated in and out of dreams. Her cheekbones protruded her smooth, pale face. The smell of urine lingered on her once white dress. She had become nothing but bones and frail misfortune. In the cloudless sky, one winter spring morning, she opened her eyes, her pupils dull. She took my hand, placed it on her breast. She knew, sobbed softly, steadying herself on me. Take good care of yourself. Thinner, smaller, her life force leaving. Silent, I knew I had to let her go. Next poem is when I was 9, and it's called Tombstone. I thought men never cry, though you said they sometimes do. Be assured, Mama, I will keep my school shoes white. Papa and I stumbled through tangerine twilight, entangled in emotions like a spider's web. The house still smell of your breath, still echoed with your laughter, and the smile drape across your face when you bent to a burst of magnolias. The nights brought Papa and I no sleep. People appeared, disappeared. There was consolation, confusion, chattering and prayers. I sprinkle rose water over your grave. After the prayers were read, Papa took off his glasses, wiped them outside and in. I was left with a strange desire to become a tombstone, muddy and lichened white. Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful, beautiful work, Amy. Thank you for joining us today. And I always love it when you're able to be with us. What a gift. What a gift to me. And I'm sure my mom, who's with us in the audience too, I know how much she loves your work. So thank you. Well, we will hear next from Gordon Ferris, followed by Max Vandersteen. Folks, we have such a great audience today, folks from Ireland and New Zealand, I've seen, and different parts of Canada and the US and Greece, of course. So such a wonderful international tribute, and so glad to have Gordon with us tonight. Thank you, Gordon.
Good evening. This poem is called Mother. I might have read this here before now, I'm not too sure. Anyway, Mother. Mother ironed everything in sight. Socks, shorts, jackets, trousers, school ties, tea cloths. They all got thrown into the pile. Beds were stripped early in the morning, left blowing in the wind, ironed, then replaced on our beds. Once she washed and dried coal bags to return them to the coalman. He smiled, there's no need for that. These are all habits that were picked up from her hard, unsmiling mother. Mother soaked up all the pain for her children to make them feel good about themselves. She looked at the fly in the ceiling, wondering if it was her father taking the shape of the insect to lovingly watch over her from a higher place. She often thought her past had come back to haunt her in all manner of imagined ways. Sometimes I imagine I sense her presence and smell her distinct perfume. Those times I'm so sure she's there. Sometimes I see her in the corner of my eye and get the scent of her cigarette smoke, and don't be surprised when I turn and see that I'm on my own. And I'll just read one more, and it's about a mother that I used to know in Dublin years ago. She was an immigrant from Syria, and I often wondered about her past, where she came from. So this one is called Questions. In broken English, thank you so much. You enjoy your day, sir. Earnest and heartfelt, beauty and a joy for life in her eyes. What horrors has she left behind in her homeland to have such joy at the now just living? She traveled across treacherous seas, suffering many humiliations, degraded beyond what any human should endure. Why should the words of any God warbler induce you to kneel before them when you witness what's done in its name? I wonder if a world with no lines dividing or doctrine guiding, only steered by what's already inside us and what by instinct we know, would they still have to leave their land, abandoning all they know? Would they still have to live the nightmare of hearts lost in a distant land? That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Gordon Ferris, beautiful work. And I never would say, do not read a poem on Cultivating Voices twice. I love the repetition. Come back and read that poem a third time. We will all be the better for hearing your work anytime. Well, we move to our good friend Max Vandersteen, and I'm so glad that you're with us today, Max. And what a gift for us to get to spend some time with you and your poetry today.
Thanks so much for those words, Sandy. I am also very glad to be with you today and back from my home, in my home. I returned from the hospital just yesterday. I had open heart surgery on Tuesday. So I'm only going to read one poem because I don't feel that strong in my voice right now. But the poem I'd like to share is in my second book called Fair Play. And it's the opening poem called Ontwikkeling. It has some Dutch in it. My parents were from Holland. And it is about my mother, who I gained so much respect for in her desire to make changes, being brought up in a very traditional family defined by sexist roles in post-war Holland and the risks of all the war events and post-war events and occupation, but mostly just the way she wanted to make sure her children were going to learn to treat each other, male or female, with respect. Ontwikkeling goes, a Dutch girl in Hollandse meisje, sister, maid, and babysitter, servant to her brothers, Hollandse broers, rearing and nurturing me too, a Dutch lady moeder, my mother, scolding me, then holding me, molding me and proud of me, trots op haar eerste jongen, firstborn of my mother, who would cook and clean, shine his own shoes, and go to school. Her life was of work, but work was her life, and always a perfect Christian wife. In volmacht vrouw, my moeder, a Dutch lady and matron in Hollandse Dam, who also polished me and prepped me to look after myself and to look after my debts, even giving me a bill in reckoning when I struck out on my own, leaving our home, ons huis, to go to school. So I cashed in my bond in obligati, savings that I earned in my youth through babysitting and a paper route. Through pride, self-preservation, and will that she taught me, then I earned my living while I learned about giving. I still owe her so much for that education in Ontwikkeling. Thank you.
Great, thank you
I-
so much. Thank you so
Because
much.
I'm sorry, Sandy,
Go right ahead, Kim.
because Susan has not been able to come back, can we go ahead and do our wait list folks who have, let me put that list up. And these are the folks who made it onto the wait list before we closed it. Let me
Well,
put
let's
that
do
up.
that. And on the wait list, if you wouldn't mind, folks, if it'd be okay, one poem rather than the 5 minutes apiece, because we had advertised to be together for about an hour. So if you're all right with that, appreciate that. So let's go to Sandy Kleven first. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Do you know I have to choose between the two? I'll read the one less traveled by. And that'll make all the difference. Okay. Once in an old Ford, 12th winter. Here. Once in an old Ford, we careened across town, Mom and 6 kids running on empty, trying to get to Ballard. Mom said, "Come on, Betsy," talking to the car. "You can make it." All dolled up, blonde as bait, in that cold cutting season, Mom got out, dragging those kids behind. Slapped silly, cried a headache, smoked. That first foreign winter, I couldn't save a thing. Pressed these raw sores against her baby beauty bluebell gown, and still she danced all night. Bad girls read true confessions. Nice guys with groceries stayed misery mornings. Truth was embroidered for baby sisters unexpected. Stand then at the burner, dip the batter, turn the iron. One by one, my mother and I rolled Norwegian Christmas 6 weeks ahead, kept just fine in a large brass tin. Mom said, "Come on, Betsy," talking to the car, "you can make it." And we did.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you chose that poem, and I'm sure the other poem would be equally exceptional, of course. Thank you. That's just wonderful. Well, our next reader, sitting right next to Sandy, is Cynthia Steele. And hey, I want to just give a quick shout out. I was able to go to the Salem Poetry Society reading where Sandy was the feature earlier this week, and got to hear from both of you. Just a terrific reading. And if you find yourself, it was just a great reading series with great poets, also on an open mic, if you're looking for another reading series with an open mic. So what a treat for me this week. Thanks, Cynthia. Looking forward to your poem, of course.
Thank you. My poem is called What a 17-Year-Old Mother Said. Mama's idioms were of endure, less comfort words. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps and don't expect anyone else to do it for you. She never worried or let it show if she did. While it's true, 1922, Joyce's Ulysses, there were others who forced their way to the top from the lowest rung by the aid of their bootstraps. She'd say, yeah, do that, but lightly, not like with all your weight. Age 7, forearm broken, white bone through skin, marrow and red. She only noticed after scrubbing gravel out my pitted hand hard, turning my arm, then her widened eyes. After that cast, rare doc visit, she didn't say, your hands aren't broken, for a while, like a badge of honor. No soapy suds. I didn't hear, you want something to cry about? For a while either, a reprieve. My 1.5 year older sister got something I didn't, again. It's not fair, I hollered. Fair is a place. She said, fair is once a year in Palmer. With a carousel in August in 3 months. We dropped the odious word. If someone were in trouble and you weren't, if someone else were foolish and you laughed, she'd say, wipe that smile off your face before I do, and don't judge a book by its cover. Mama said, you girls nickeled and dimed me to death. And I would never have asked my mother for money. Where did money come from? Well, it doesn't grow on trees. You have to earn it through blood, sweat, and tears. When I wanted satiny baby blue zip jackets and pants, you didn't buy the right kind, Mama, I complained. Don't be uppity, too big for your britches. Don't be picky, there's starving children in Africa. Always with the Africa. You sewed me a pantsuit, zip up from the crotch. Velvet Sutton Paisley on polyester stretch, Peter Pan wing collars, GD Elvis collar, Mama. I wore it to school for you more than once. When Mama makes you something, say thank you, wear it. There's a lesson there. I learned so much to go my own way in a fashion sense. Be the first trendsetter. Bowling shoes, corduroy newsboy hat. So much can be found in secondhand towns. Find special buttons, sew them on your own shirts. Mama bought the shirts, had us cut them off for her. A little something makes you sparkle, she said. She wore her hair down to there, meaning her butt, hot pants, stacked tennis shoes, style and flair, but nothing uppity, just groovy. She was like an ad for 20-somethings, had threads, a stone cold fox. But she declared me to be as slow as molasses rolling uphill in winter. Then grabbed a bottle, explaining the physics by showing me how slow molasses generally pours, my mouth watering. I watched sweet, dark liquid flow. I wondered if I looked contrite for slowing her down. Then I wiped that expression off my face. Don't roll your eyes at me, Missy, or I'll slap you into next week. My face I'd master, my eyes still roll. I feared I'd never be as cool as her, dragging on a ciggy, skinny legs, copper hair, belled out jeans with blueberry stains from when we went picking some Alaska hill we kids rolled down till the world spun. If all your friends jumped off a bridge, would you jump too? Of course I would jump, Mama. We were in junior high. Our brains are not fully developed yet. I would jump. In fact, I'd ask my friends how high and from where. I lied once, said I stayed with a girlfriend down the road. Do I look like I just fell off the turnip truck? Turnip truck, Mama asked. I'd stare, nothing in my eyes, then a little slower. Do I look stupid to you? No, I'd ask. She'd sigh. We didn't have Catholic or religious guilt, but we had Jesus. Jesus Christ expressed disappointment, dragged out each syllable with the same emphasis. Jesus Christ. My young ma at her wit's end would finally say, I don't give a flying fuck. Mama swore like a sailor, but with creative utterances that had me looking for meaning my whole life long. I decided eagles, while mating, usually break free as they fall, but sometimes they lock talons and smash to the ground. They give one. Mother declared bad days dead to us, over, fini. Like a poor old Michael Finnegan. He grew fat and then thin again. Poor old Michael Finnegan. Begin again. A tremendous relief to know they were gone, of no matter. It was in the past. Forget about it. All her mistakes, lessons. All of hers. Don't trip, honey. Jesus ain't through with me yet. She had a fail-proof way of getting into heaven. I ain't never kicked a dog, she'd say. Pretty sure I'm getting into heaven if I ain't never kicked a dog. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Cynthia Steele, everyone, with the devoted Sandra Kleven next to her. Thanks for joining us from Alaska this evening. And Leslie, of course, the trio. Well, our next reader is Harvey Soss, and we'll end today's reading with Josephine LoRe. Thanks, Harvey, and thanks for letting us all know about Artful Dodger coming up.
Unmute. Okay. Unmuted now. Apropos of the last poem, my mother made me something too. She did me a sweater once. It came down just below my navel. I wore it anyway. This coincidentally is a poem that I just finished today. Mama's Boy. Having grown accustomed to being told how closely I favored my father, I had long considered our shared collection of oomphs and aches as signaling something beyond mere lineal descent, thinking perhaps I had been cloned in a basement, or was a reincarnation, or that ours was a merging of individuation. When I paused at the mirror, I saw my father as he must have been. My dad wore Murray's space shoes prescribed by his podiatrist for foot problems similar to my own, mine being the modern sort of orthotics, plastic and leather tucked away into high tops for greater dunkability. Our prostates could have been peas in a pod, Our nighttime urges practically synchronized, racing each other to the bathroom 3 or 4 times a night before I left the nest for my own fixtures, flourishes, and flushes. My parents arguing over fresh wallpaper, too frilly or flowery or not, could go on for an age, and did with me as their referee. Never were there 2 lovebirds so apt to redecorate a cage. I had his face, everyone said so, sporting my father's full head of hair, which I combed into a matching pompadour, a man's answer to a woman's beehive, dabbing a little spittle here and there to keep it in place. If not quite the son of God, as my mother sometimes chaffed my father, then most assuredly that of my father, his hair, face, feet, prostate, spitting image if ever there was one, and certainly proud to be his son. So it was with more than a bit of surprise and no small degree of consternation that this morning it was my mother, fairest of them all, preening in the mirror, with me not so sleepy-eyed that I could have mistaken him for her. My father's influence having somehow slipped, having been eclipsed by that of my mother while I lay sleeping. She caught me off guard with her mousetrap grin, as if to say, "Gotcha now. Forget those pixelated clots of the male bloodline so passé. In the big picture, it's your mother you most resemble. Veni, vidi, vici." The damp mirror, after I showered, corroborated the dead woman's testimony. Peaky blinders with which she had faced down 2 open heart surgeries, getting the better of both of them, blinked back at me. She who had birthed me appeared to have taken control, seated comfortably on the genomic iron throne, having been dispossessed of my father's face, possession having been ceded to his wife. Was I in danger of becoming a she? A softness had settled around my eyes, asserting squatter's rights. I made a conscious effort to roughen the edges of my viewpoints, practicing a stern look befitting the son of a hero, of El Alamein, of Anzio. And still I was unsure of what the future held for me, whether I would reflexively answer when asked what my favorite number was. Chanel number 5? Would my girlfriend share makeup tips, go shopping with me for a man bra? I was flummoxed. Who could I discuss this with? Close friends and colleagues, never having given the least hint of having recapitulated their mothers. For all I knew, I was alone in this, facing the loss of face in the eyes of others. My demeanor, hers, not his, as if some lighthouse keeper had flipped a switch, a fresh cunning lurking lared behind the eyes of my father's son, fixing me with a more youthful stare, my mother being the younger of the 2. A certain wariness crept in. No question, a sea change was taking place, leaving me more likely to be chucked by babushkas under the chin, telling me how sweet I look, as grandaunts did my mother, even as she turned 60. Reluctantly, I surrendered to matrilineal aspects of myself I had never noticed before, making the best of it. A mother's boy, cursing Ancestry.com for not having foreseen this in its mail-in spit test. I spat Rumpelstiltskin in the face of fate, thinking to reverse the spell, reinforce my father's influence. No dice. More and more certain I was an agglomeration of sugar and spice and everything nice. A cute little poem, apparently having been bewitched in the womb. Mother, mother, what have you done? Where once I had been accounted as handsome a fellow as my father, now I most resemble you, my mother's son. Thank you. That goes out to my mother, to whom I owe an apology.
Thank you, Harvey Soss. I'm glad that you finished that in time to share with us today.
You're welcome.
Epic, beautiful. Thank you so much. well, our last reader for today. And thank you to all who expressed interest in reading today. And we were able to get to the open mic. We were able to get to the waiting list. Just a reminder for our open mic readings, we have folks sign up the 15 minutes before the reading begins. And that's how we accumulate our readers for today. With a preference for folks who have not read in the previous open mic, but we're glad, of course, today to be able to have a little bit of time to hear from our friends who read last time. So Josephine, it's so great I feel all warm and fuzzy about having you be the last reader for today. And happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you so much. There's been such a gamut of emotions read today. And well, I'm coming from Calgary, which is the land of the Piikani, Siksika, Kainai, Nakota, and Tsuut'ina peoples. But my family comes from Sicily. And today's poem is not necessarily about my mom, but about my grandmother. The realization hit me that I'm at the same age now that she would have been when she came from Italy and held me. I was an infant when she came over. So this one is called A Scent Released. A scent released when I brush past tomatoes ripening on vine. Nettle grows unbidden, pansies return and return. We come from the island of Hephaestus, of Daedalus, Icarus, Pythagoras. The Greek in our veins mixed with Moorish and Spanish, Norman, Carthaginian, and we became Sicilian. We are Mediterranean, the colony of Acracas, Agrigentum to the Romans, ruins intact. An island with not only a patron saint, Rosalia in her crown of roses, but a patron goddess, Medusa, the snakes in her hair sheaths of golden wheat. We left the island, but it courses through our being, the rise and the fall, the wax and the wane, and the ever-changing moon. Forgotten the names of primordial gods, crushed and destroyed their dedications. How far deep under roadway, under temple must we dig to find their stones, to unearth their tales? An ocean and half, a continent away, I plant a garden, write poetry to the gods of yesterday. The hands on the keyboard, my grandmother's, bones prominent under tissue-thin skin. Spots, bruises of indeterminate origin, the arc of the fingers as well, for I am at the age of my grandmother when she first held me, time circling around itself, a cat preparing for sleep. Could I uncurl time and be not only that infant that she held, but myself as well, see her, of what wisdoms would she speak? I picture my grandmother, a child in a field, and see myself, an older woman, watching the child who is my grandmother in that field, on an island surrounded by the sea, brushing by tomatoes ripening on vine, their scent released. Thank you very much.
Just absolutely beautiful. I'm so grateful to have you read a poem about your grandmother, and of course you and I share Sicilian heritage. A reminder, I'm sitting here today with 4 generations when I leave the reading. So it's really terrific to have poetry that is it expands beyond the generation and harkens back to your grandmother. Thank you so much. Well, folks, if you'll indulge me, I'll close out with a short poem, just because my mom is in the room today and I love her, and I'm so sad that I'm not with her today, except here in Zoom with all of you, which I know she's one of the most devoted people to Cultivating Voices and loves the poetry that you all share. So here's a short poem that features her from from earlier days in our family's history. A poem from the Decade series from Boats for Women. It's called 1974. The year my mother's flower arrangement won second place and occupied the top of the TV weeks after the tiger lilies had died. I measured my success by the holes I could poke in the green foam before the dead flowers began to collapse. But the eye of the big red ribbon continued to stare me down from everywhere in the room. On the evening news, the oil crisis loomed. I stuck myself in front of the thick black screen as it pitched the voices of doom over my head. My mother caught them all, preserved their freshness under her Tupperware's synthetic seal. Always in the basement, my father hand-cut squares of beige glass, positioned them in a Pyrex bowl he'd borrowed from the cupboard to keep his mind off the construction work he did not have all winter. All day, he sat at the far end of the ping pong table, contemplating each fit he would later fuse with lead. The boiler grumbled while my father's monotone duets with Frank Sinatra ruined the stereo sound. I'd play along on drums to save my ears or dream up the volume of the vibraphone we once owned. Upstairs, steam fogged above the stove, hiding the pots, the vegetables, the hands on the clock. Almost touching the hour, my mother would throw her sweaty voice down the dark stairs to call us both to eat. Well, everyone, I hope today has been an amazing feast for you on this Mother's Day reading, with a reminder of the many, many ways there are to enter and celebrate and acknowledge this particular holiday that is celebrated in many, many countries across the world today, and and elsewhere on other days during the calendar year. A reminder of all that we heard today. We began the hour with Martina McGowan. We heard from Jeff Kaliss, Patricia Carragon, Leslie Freed. We also then heard from Ron Bremner, Alexandra Psaropoulou, David Brydges, Amy Berry, Kristie Williams, Gordon Ferris, Max Vandersteen, and we were given the bonus readings today of Sandy Kleven, Cynthia Steele, Harvey Soss, and Josephine LoRe. Let's take a moment and unmute and share our appreciation for this carnival of poetry here on Cultivating. So great to have
Fabulous, fabulous.
today. What a wonderful, wonderful reading.
Sandy and Don.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Kim, thank you all. Don and Kim, of course, we appreciate you beyond measure, and appreciate each one of you for joining us, whether you read or whether you were here to listen and marvel at the poetry that we're able to bring each week. I want to remind you all to please come back next week, where we will be featuring the poets of Slate Roof Press with editor Janet McFadden. And I'm so happy to be able, you've seen Janet read here on her own poetry on the program, but she's, if you're not familiar, she's also the editor of Slate Roof Press, and will be featuring poets from her book series. That's next week, same time, whatever time zone you're in. And again, I leave you with my most heartfelt gratitude for joining me in my on location here in Hoodsport, Washington, where I'm at an intergenerational gathering of mothers here at a wonderful brunch. And I hope that the rest of your evening or day is filled with the love and promise of spring and family and poetry and joy. We've certainly been gifted poetry this afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you're joining us from. Some folks here in the room, it's already tomorrow morning. It's already Monday morning. It is always my most, I'm so moved and filled with gratitude to be able to be with you all each week, and that you feel moved to join me and Don and Kim. I hope you'll return next week. And as I say at the end of every reading, please be safe out there. Take very, very good care of your beloveds. And of course, keep writing your miraculous poems. Until next week, my friends, be well.